Good morning. I'm doing this at this time because we are right now in the middle of the solar eclipse, the solar flare, the solar eclipse, the ring. We can't see it here in Maine in the northern eastern hemisphere, but it's happening. And so I wanted to check in on day 17th of the 28-day Radical Heart Challenge that I started back in the day of the full moon, the snow full moon. And this is the 17th day. And I started this challenge to myself around this idea of checking myself into the ICU, the ICU unit, intensive care. And this intensive care is about a supple activation, especially when life around me feels chaotic, yelling, screaming, fighting, pushing. There's a whole bunch of energies worldwide, not just here in the Americas, and I wanted a place to tune in and to do my part of staying in my lane, but also operating from my 52 evolving self, which is an old Aztecian formula. You can find more about this work from Elena Alvarez, The Woman Who Glows in the Dark, book on Kirkuman. She's a curandera, and the book is about curanderismo. So, what came up every day, there's a different aha moment that arises in this 28-day challenge. And yesterday I was feeling a bit stagnant and heavy, which is okay because usually around a new moon, and then we have the dark moon right before, there's just a lot of energies. And yesterday was a pretty dense day, but if I understand the planetary alignments also, this is important why I'm tuning in. And forgive me how I talk because information comes in random pieces, and my job is to grab it and convey it the best way that I can as it's moving through. So it's never linear. It's always circular language. I've actually learned to honor the circular language. It's interesting. I remember in social work school, and we were learning about different communication styles, and I have always spoken circular language, but it's always put in the context of some type of ethnic cultures and like these other cultures, others from who, right? Because we know that it's a standard deviation from whiteness when we use that term about others. It's always from this standard piece about white as the center of all beings. I'm talking about white culture. So white culture, particularly in America, is the dominant framework, and whatever, that doesn't mean anything about color. It has nothing to do with race. It has to do with the cultural identity in which we're all framed in, right? So I remember in social work school, these other cultures, right, that spoke, and they were usually brown and chocolate cultures. Looking at myself here, yep. Um, um, and I remember thinking in class when they talked about that, thinking, wow, that's how I talk, circular, right? But in academia, I quickly learned that I couldn't be myself because quote unquote, when I was adapting, oh yeah, I talk this way, I'm talking circular culture style. I don't speak in linear tracks necessarily. Everyone says to me, you have Keita language. And I remember being called in to a dean's office because they told me, and I kid you not, graduate school, that, and this was right here in Maine, and they told me that um, I can seem as a threat if I don't come in with my thoughts organized and succinct, that people wouldn't be able to know how to track me, and therefore that seems threatening and somehow as a flaw of my character. This is really important that I'm sharing this. I guess it's coming out. And what that is about for me, I've always had some type of a lisp thing as a young kid. I was very afraid of speaking my voice. There's a whole energetic history that doesn't need to be repeated, but I do understand how I got there. And so for years I stopped. I would try to always watch how I spoke. And the thing that was really puzzled about being called into a dean's office and challenged for my speaking style was in that moment I made a declaration to myself that I am going to be me despite of what this dominant culture is telling me about how I talk. And it was really fun that we can learn about these others in a social work book around culture and communication styles around the world. But yet here's this chocolate, beautiful, intelligent woman in your classroom who you're having a problem with, and now you're telling me that I can't talk that way because I put people off around how I communicate. It's interesting because I also found my writing style in my writing voice because I had to write papers in graduate school. So it's really interesting. And here I am today, really fully embrace the Keita language with the stutters, with the slips, with the inconsistent language, because I understand now that is how I communicate. And I'm learning to work better with that than with some Arcadian, archaic way, because actually this talking is not effective communication. There's so much communication right now happening in this room with my plants, the environment, the energy, that it's not spoken word. So back to non-spoken word and energetic, one of the things that came up again this morning when I woke at 3, wide awake, connecting with these downloads, right in the higher selves that communicate this is there's a lot of things happening in spoken word, but there's more happening in the energetic subtle body. These 17 days of tuning in has helped me get clear of all the micro ways in which, when I talk about checking myself into the ICU, intensive care unit, the ways in which I can pay attention to all the ways in which self-care and heart coherence exists in this breath, for example. So I say all that to say that when I speak, this is Keita language, and I'm owning it. And I will continue to move forward from this language. And also I got to remember that those who resonate with how I speak, it will resonate. And then there are those who will not resonate with how I speak, and that's okay. We may not be in the same frequency, but we need to be authentic to our organic, our frequencies. Part of that frequency alignment back to body and movement is about the spine and the body. It came up to me through a feed that I recently remembered, was that our spines are antennas the crown all the way down to our coccyx bone. And the important alignment of that coccyx bone and that spine, right? And that in the full throat in our head, and even how we exhale out. So I know that in my yoga teaching, that cat-cow position, when you're on all fours, when you're on table and you're aligned with your wrist, right, with your shoulders, your knees, with your hips, and you're in that 4-point on the mat. And then you begin cat and cow from the coccyx bone. So if I'm moving into cat, I'm tucking that coccyx bone way towards my belly button sort of idea. And in that moment, as I'm touching, that means I'm arcing my back up into cat. That's cat. And so you're exhaling as you arc into that cat, right? And then moving into cow also begins at the coccyx bone. Okay, so you begin to untuck it, and you tuck and you flip the coccyx bone back the other direction, which allows your belly and your spine to sink now towards the floor. And as you're doing it, your head is the last to unfurl. Unfurl like a fiddlehead all the way to the top. And then there's an exhale with the tongue out like a lion's breath, right? I didn't realize how important that exercise of cat-cow is until I understood about the spinal alignment. And I was talking about movement yesterday. It was starting to come through, but it really landed at 3 a.m. this morning. So that movement of cat and cow is really an antenna alignment, right? It's so important to with our spinal, our lumbar, our chiropractic well-being. And even that exercise where we are rotating the shoulders up towards your ears and we're dropping them away. As soon as you do that, the sternum is lifted, the heart is lifted, the chest is lifted effortlessly. But even in doing that, you're aligning. And then the belly that's in front, if you allow the belly to fall back into the pelvic bone naturally, now you have a proper alignment of the heart over kidneys. Love over fear in balance. I can't stress enough about when the crown is plugged into the heavens and that coccyx bone is grounded into the earth, and that alignment of the heart over the kidneys. You're aligned. I did not realize how significant spinal health and why now when we see people of meditation that are sitting in these postures that are connected with the crown and into the earth, that is the antennae channel that's moving through us. So big breakthrough in this 28-day Radical Heart Challenge. How important movement is in the alignment of cohesion. Even in the pause, and how we can disperse energies that are stagnant and stuck with simple breath and movement. Doesn't mean you have to jump up and blah, but it can mean in a meaning I can drop my chin into my chest and roll my ear to my shoulder, then back and drop my other ear to the shoulder, pick up that piece. Testing 1, 2. I hope I'm still here. It's those little micro movements. Remember I was talking in the beginning about the micro breath, the micro check-ins, the important exhales. So how I show up in this 28 days is important when I'm tracking. And I'm noticing the more that I track my breath, but also the alignment of my body, antennae, spine. There are so many things happening right now. What's even more important is that we have got this alignment with Neptune and Saturn and Aries and Aquarius, like these things that are allowing us, helping me, I'll talk for me, fall away those things so I can stay centered into this place. The other piece that came in is I talk a lot about, or my self-talk has been a lot about, why aren't you writing more? Why aren't you writing more? Why aren't you doing your art more? And what I realized is another download came, and through information being sent my way, that, and this is the alignment of the solar eclipse, y'all, and where we are, boom. The energy that I was spending on not writing or asking myself not is actually more exhausting and time consuming than the actual energy of writing and being. I am art. I am right. I am voice. Once I understood that in the download, I also began to realize this is why I'm here on this 28 days showing up. Like I am voice, right? This is another extension of the writing parts, but it's a different way of communicating. So I'm really powerful alignment, and knowing that I'm stepping out of my physical matter way. And as I do that, I'm stepping into or calling into the higher self of being the writer, of being the art. I am. I am, I am, I am. I am, I am, I am. And now it's stepping into and claiming that's what these alignments are all about. That's what these alignments are all about. It's stepping into your true form, your true identity, and simply being, taking up space, showing up. I know this morning is a little bit longer than when I usually tap in, but this is so supercharged right now that I wanted to be here creating this during the solar eclipse as it's unfolding right now. Yo, this is an exciting time to actually be alive. This is exciting knowledge to know that you, me, each of us are activating and can tap into. And we are the radical change in these subtle acts of activations of activism. These are really subtle but powerful activism. Activism. Imagine right now all the bodies that are around you, if everyone was tapping into their 52 higher self, checking into their soul alignment, their physical alignment, what would be the energetic makeup of the world around us right now if everyone was moving from a 52 evolving self? Wow, like, can you feel that? That's some powerful shit. That's radical heart chakra challenge time stepping into. Can you feel just for a moment the shift of what the world feels like when we are all operating from that place? And there's no right way to do it. You just need some check-in time, exhale, movement, and repeat. Check in, exhale, movement, repeat. Listen. Slow down, tune in. That's activism. Do it. Do it now. Be the heart coherence the world needs. Be it. Be it. Shine brightly. Thank you. I am so thankful for the ancestors and guardian angels who are guiding me in this moment, for my cheer community that checks in and cheers me on, for the people who hold me lovingly accountable as I've been moving through this heart chakra. I want to give a shout out to a special peer, mentor, Ms. Nadia, Miss Jackson. I want to give a special shout out to her. But there's many Nadia Jacksons out there in your circles. And remember, when those people who are showing up for you and they're spending time with you unconditionally, that you show up for them. I eat, you eat. Nobody goes hungry. So when those people are showing up for you and providing you with that accountability, that love, and that back, and pay that forward and pay it back. However those contributions are, share in that energetic commerce that we all need right now with each other. It's very rich. It's very vibrant. Right? So when I end with a tapping, I am healthy, right? I am wealthy. Abundance flows all day long. I am light. I am love. Everything's right. Everything flows. I attract. I do not chase, right? All that I give out, it all comes back. I love this health. I love this feeling. Abundance flows. My life is healing. And unto that I say unto you, may your life be healing. I said prayers this morning for random people whose names I asked for the day before. That's something else that just popped in. Get the names, bring them in, affirmate, affirm. On that, I want to say a great shout out and prayer to all of you who are tuning in to your lives, not to me, to your lives, and you're paying attention and you're operating from that higher self, that heart place, that place of agape that's bigger. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of me showing up, having fun as we move through all this wonderful commotion that's divinely timed, that we are here right now receiving. And your only job is to step in with clarity and groundness. Keep the antenna open. Keep the prayers lifted for yourselves and each other. And bring in the prayers, or wrap it around the people who need it the most. That includes the ones who irritate you, the ones you don't know. You know what I'm talking about. Amen. Ashe, Aho, until I see you again. I can't wait for day 18. These days are just starting to feel like, I'm getting it. It's day 17th, the 28th day Radical Heart Challenge, y'all. Thank you for witnessing me. Thank you, Kata, for showing up for you and being here. Yeah. Eyes wide open, I'm strapped in, and I'm riding this energy with confidence. I wish the same for each of you. Amen.